Hello everybody and welcome back to another video here on my channel. This is going to be something a little bit different for me. If you're unfamiliar, normally on my channel I do album reaction videos. I also post some videos of my family and different things like that, but for the most part it's album and song reaction videos. Some of it myself, some of it with a group of friends that I have. Earlier this year we started doing the Metallica catalog because I had never heard a vast majority of it. So we've been reacting to all the Metallica albums, so if that's something that sounds interesting to you and you're a fan of Metallica or old sort of thrash metal music, getting into the sort of rock phase of the 90s and beyond, check out those videos here on my channel. We've also been doing, I listened to my first Talking Heads album. I listened to a little bit of Paul McCartney for the first time with his solo work. So lots of different things, lots of really new albums that have just been released this year as well. So if any of that sounds interesting, check that out. I also, on occasion, because I'm going to be showing some records in this video and some old audio stuff, I want to mention that I've done several album restoration videos and audio restoration videos here on my channel where I've taken old records, old reel-to-reel tapes, just sort of different old media formats, recorded them and tried to restore them to the best of my ability. I am an audio engineer, and so audio is sort of my specialty. I'm not the greatest guy in the world, but I do enjoy doing some different restoration things like that. So I have several videos on my channel like that if you're interested in the records and all that stuff. Last week, I had 3 of the best days I've ever had garage sailing in my entire life. I went on Thursday morning, Friday morning, and Saturday morning, and I had just some absolute fantastic luck. And over the course of those 3 days, I managed to find and buy a crate of records, which we're going to look at those. We're also going to look at 2 tubs, or a box and a tub, of vintage video game stuff that I found. So if you're into vintage video game stuff, stick around for that. I'll show that. I also bought some books, I bought some reel-to-reel cassettes, I bought some cassette tapes. We're going to look at all of that, and yeah, we're going to have a lot of fun. One other thing I want to mention real quick is that I have this camera above me here, which this is a perfect way to demonstrate this. I have the auto exposure and the auto focus on so that as I'm showing different things, you can hopefully see it in the best, most colorful, brightest way possible without having to look at me and having me show it to this camera, which probably wouldn't look as good. So let's get into this right away with, I think I'm going to start with one of the more interesting things that I bought at a garage sale. This was $5. I'll show you up here. And you can see here it says 3D camera set, $5. So I bought this. This is the Nishika. This right here is just the case that it comes in, which is actually interesting itself. But I bought the Nishika 3D 35mm camera. And it also came with this light that you can put on the top of it. So the light, the bag, and the camera. And I was really, really fascinated by this. I looked into it a little bit, and to be honest, I don't normally do this at garage sales, but I looked it up on my phone on eBay to just see if it was like a crazy valuable thing. And it turns out that it was actually pretty valuable, more recently so than just like 5 to 10 years ago. Because what people do with this camera is they take and they make GIFs. What this camera does, and there's some interesting videos here on YouTube, maybe I'll try to link to something, but what this camera does is it takes we're in the space of a reel where I guess a 35mm normal, you can use normal 35mm film on this, but a normal camera when you're getting it developed, there would be 2 pictures per, I guess, exposure or whatever. Well, this splits it up into 4. So what it does is it takes picture really fast. And what people do is they take those pictures, they take those 4 different separate sort of frames, they get all of them, they take a picture of them, I guess. I'm not sure exactly how that process works, but basically they turn them into moving pictures. They turn them into GIFs. And so you can look that up online. There's lots of different examples. I just want to show you real quick here. We'll go back up to this camera. I'll zoom out a little bit here. I want to show you just a little bit of this just because it's such a neat looking camera. It came with everything that it needed to. The booklet sort of explaining how to do everything in the different languages. It's very interesting. And it also came with a neat pamphlet, which I'll show you in a second. So here's the actual camera itself. It's very hefty, and I was looking online, and apparently it's very weighty because there's a weight in here to make it feel like a sort of better made product than it actually is. So here's the different lenses, and it just, like I said, it just uses... I'm not sure how this actually works. I had this open a while ago, but anyway, I'm not a vintage camera person, so I don't want to ruin it or anything. But there's different settings on here. It's very neat. As I said, this camera wasn't worth very much recently because you can't actually get these pictures developed anywhere, as far as I know, anywhere in the world. No one develops these pictures. And I'll explain more about that in just one second, but I want to put this back here. At least as best as I can for the purposes of this video, and then I'll repackage everything later. But I also bought this with it, this pamphlet. And so I want to show you here what's in this pamphlet, because this is what's the thing that's the sort of most interesting to me. So the most interesting thing that it has is this right here, which I don't think you're going to be able to tell this in the video because you have to have 3D eyes to see this. But this is an example of a picture that was printed using this method. And what it basically does is it creates a lenticular photograph. I don't think you can tell. But it creates a lenticular photograph, which is a 3D photograph. When I look at this in real life, it absolutely looks 3D to me. It's insane. It looks like a 3D movie when you're watching a 3D movie with glasses. That's what it looks like, and it's absolutely amazing. And so it's bonkers. But basically, there's a whole pamphlet in here that talks about how you're supposed to use it. There's different information about what to do with it. There's, all sorts of different things. But then, very interestingly, you can be up here. It talks about the 3D processing. So what you do is you take these, you fill one of these out, and then you had to send it to their processing plant, which I think is in New Jersey. And you put the film in an envelope, and you sent it with one of those orders, and basically you'd get your film back in the mail, and it would be developed. Now, this is really interesting. This is the guideline for taking photographs, and it talks about the distances you need to be away from everything. Nothing can be within 6 feet of you, but it's best to have things at certain intervals away from you in order to get the maximum 3D effect. You're supposed to have something in the foreground, but the main point of your shot is supposed to be, I believe, between like 10 or so and 20 feet away. And then it's better to have something else also in the back. So if you can see, that's sort of their guideline here. That's exactly what they're doing here. This tree is in the foreground, which me looking at it in real time, it's like this tree is like sticking out of the page at me. Then there's a layer of the dog and the people, and then there's a further layer of this tree, and then an even further layer of that tree. So it's absolutely incredible. The quality of it is amazing. Like it feels like I should be able to just like rub my hand over this and feel the image. It's absolutely astounding. And so I just wanted to start the video off with that. I think it's a really cool thing. As far as I know, there's not a lot of sets like this online that are being sold with all the different sort of accoutrement or whatever that goes with it. And you can buy these sort of lenticular photograph examples that they sent out, these pamphlets. These pamphlets are on eBay for I think $40 per, and every one of them was different. So I think that they legitimately just took a bunch of pictures testing out the camera, got them printed, and then pasted real photos to these pamphlets, which is really cool. So that's the first thing I wanted to go over. And now, because I know there's probably a lot of people here who want to see the records, let's go through and look at some records. this crate of records. You can see how many are in here. And yes, we're going to go through all of them relatively quickly. You can see how many are in here. I bought this crate of records for $5. So let me set these back down here. They're heavy. And we're going to go through these, okay? So the first two we have here are sort of the most interesting ones. I did not know who these bands were. Hold on, let me back my camera out. Oh, some neat preview of Dune over here. I'll do this. Actually, I probably better keep that in the middle. Oh, look how professional my channel is. So, this is the band Love with their album Forever Change. This is the stereo version. There's a little stereo sticker here. And I did not know who this was, but I was looking all these albums up on Discogs, and this is one of the two records that is like worth the most. So you can see on here it has one of the titles is crossed out, and then there's here I can zoom in, I guess. One of the titles of the songs is crossed out here, and there's also, sorry, my camera is wobbling. I have a really wonky setup here. Hopefully that doesn't make anybody sick. I'll try to touch my camera as low as possible. We have a message here from someone, and it says, love. It says, love is you and love is me, so let love be us. 12/25/67, and I believe it says, but I can't read that. It's weird. But I thought it said Dave. Yeah, Dave. D-A-V-E, Dave. So this is Love, Forever Change. I don't know anything about like what it sounds. I haven't listened to it yet. It's got just an Electra black record. Now, the second album that was worth the second most amount was the album Future by The Seeds. So this one is actually a gatefold. I can show you like this. Now, this one is definitely a sort of flower child-y, definitely of the 60s. And the year for this, I think, I'm not sure the exact year. But yeah, this is sort of, I think, the same kind of a thing, sort of like a psychedelic rock band. Just interesting. This was another one that was worth a bit more. The record's not in like the best shape in the world, but again, I bought this whole crate for $5. So that's The Seeds with Future. Then I bought, this was at a separate garage sale, but I'll just show it to you. This is ABBA, The Album. I bought this one for $1 at a garage sale. It's in the wrapping still, and it's never been opened. So it's pretty cool. But there you go. That's ABBA, The Album. Now at that same garage sale, I bought another one, but I don't. Yes. At that same garage sale, I bought a couple other records. First one was this one. I thought it had a cool cover. The Crimson Bridge, an Easter musical for rejoicing by Derek Johnson. So I looked this one up, and I think that this is sort of like New Age music, New Age religious music, and this is all about Easter and sort of like the Easter Mass. So kind of interesting. I just thought it was a neat cover, though. So that's why I bought that one. Then I bought these two records, the Kahn Guitar Method #1 and #2. They look the exact same. They're identical. It just says these are sort of guitar playing method records, but I thought that that was kind of cool. The cover's neat. And, as you can see in the video here, I have records behind me in all my videos. Sorry, my light's reflecting right here now, but I have my overhead light on. I don't normally in my videos, but I can put these up on the wall. They'll look neat. And yeah, again, that was $50, or it was $1 for both of those, so 50 cents. Okay, now getting back into the records. Now getting back into the records from this crate, we have the Mamas and the Papas Deliver. I'm a big fan of the Mamas and the Papas. This album has one of my favorite songs of theirs, Creek U Alley, which I really enjoy. But it also has Dedicated to the One I Love, I believe, is their sort of big song from this album. But I'm a big fan of theirs. I think their music is really great. This has just a ABC Paramount Records sleeve, and the record itself is obviously just a black record. So, but very cool. Come on, you. Not very graceful today. Then we have a cool 80s record that I actually bought for my cousin because I already have a copy of this. And again, the rest of these records, I believe, were all just in the crate. So I didn't specifically pick these out. They were just in the crate. But I want to give this one to my cousin. This is the Thompson Twins, their album Into the Gap. This is a very cool album. I really enjoy this a lot. Really good quality record in the sleeve there. It's basically pristine. But something cool that took me a long time to realize when I was looking at the back of this, it's set up sort of like a map with the different production elements and stuff on here. But I thought this was a map for a long time, and I guess it is. But the cool thing is each one of these is the heads of the 3 people that are in the band with their crazy hair. So I thought that's really cool. But this album's got Doctor, Doctor, You Take Me Up, Hold Me Now, Day After Day, No Peace for the Wicked, A Sister of Mercy. Very cool. Very good record. Here we have, these are in no order, obviously. This is the early Beatles. I was just excited when I saw a Beatles record because I know some of them are worth something. I'm not a huge Beatles fan, but it's fun to have some of their records. And eventually someday I will go through and, start to look into the Beatles a little bit more. But this is just sort of a greatest hits. The cover itself is not in good shape. The record itself is not in the best of shape either. And I do see that it has in here, this is interesting. So I think this sleeve is actually for, maybe not. Not sure what this sleeve is for. Looks like a newspaper out. Oh no, it is just, no. It says the inner sleeve. I don't know. It's really cool. I've never seen one like this, but I'm assuming that it's an inner sleeve for a specific record label, and then they just put that in all of them. So that's actually really cool. I didn't know that was in there. I should have done a little bit more looking into this. I'll try to slide this in the back way. So yeah, this box, the record box here, the cardboard's not in very good shape. But there we go. Early Beatles. Beatles are always cool. This one's in really good shape. Crosby, Stills, and Nash, Dallas Taylor and Greg Reeves, Deja Vu. Nice trifold, very thick weight, looks very nice. That's that one. The record's in there. It looks great. It's in its own sort of sleeve. Then we have Led Zeppelin. I don't know any Led Zeppelin. They're a band I might do some reactions to on the channel coming up here. I absolutely love this. This is so cool. Again, not being a Led Zeppelin fan, I don't know that much about what any of this is. I don't even know which songs are on here, but I know it's Led Zeppelin. Then we have ELO, which is a band I also don't know very much about. I've heard some of their big songs. Very cool, like the spaceship vibes here. I know some people who don't care for ELO very much, but then I also know a few different sort of musicians and people who really like ELO. So I'm excited to have that. I think that's a double record set. Both are in there. Then we have Michael Jackson Thriller. There you go, camera. Very cool. This album's in pretty good shape. I already own a copy of this, but it is not in this good a shape at all. The record itself is in really, really pretty good shape. It's a little dusty, but I can wipe that off. So that's Michael Jackson Thriller. Everybody knows about that. Then we have here this Secret... Wait, is there 2 records here? There is. The Secret Value of Daydreaming by Julian Lennon, which I believe, I was talking to my cousin who knows a lot more about records than I do, is John Lennon's son. Don't know what this is going to sound like. His hair and everything makes it look very 80s. 1986 is the year here. So I'm excited to look into this. I don't think it's like super special or anything, but it's kind of neat. Then we have Bonnie Tyler, Faster Than the Speed of Light, and I believe this is the album with Total Eclipse of the Heart on it. Yeah, Total Eclipse of the Heart. So that's very cool. Very neat. This one's got a barcode on it. Not all of them have barcodes, but I was able to use the barcodes to scan my Discogs. Scan all these records into the my Discogs page if they have them, if they had a barcode. John Cougar Mellencamp, Scarecrow. I'm actually surprisingly a pretty big fan of John Cougar Mellencamp. He had some albums later in his career that were produced by T-Bone Burnett, and I really enjoy those. This is the one with Small Town. I was born in a small town, and I live in a small town. That song. So that's Scarecrow by John Mellencamp. Very cool. Now we have Holiday by, I think this is America. Yeah, America, Holiday. I'm not sure which songs are on here. Ooh. Hold on a second. There's a sleeve in here too, as well as a regular sleeve. So that's interesting. The songs on here are Miniature, Tin Man. Tin Man's a great song of theirs. Another Try Lonely People, Glad to See You, Mad Dog, Hollywood, Baby, It's Up to You. You, Old Man Took, What Does It Matter, and In the Country. So that's really cool. Actually, the recording studio that I used to work at in Omaha, Nebraska, the guy that I worked with, he had worked with the American Gramophone people for many years, and America did an album, released the recording with American Gramophone, and my old boss, worked on that album. And one of the things that he told me about America was that when they showed up to record their album, I'm just going to take this out. When they showed up to record their album, not this one, but when they showed up to record their album, I think it was in the 90s, they brought with them a big trailer just filled with guitars. He said there was just wall-to-wall guitars, and they were all hung on the walls in this trailer. And when they were recording, they would go through the schedule of what they were recording each day, and they would go out to the trailer and bring in like 12 guitars. And every song featured different guitars, and each song itself featured at least 5 to 10, 15 guitars each track, which is absolutely crazy. That was something that really bothered and annoyed him, but I think it's pretty cool. So we have Pat Benatar, Live from Earth. So I assume this is a live album. I'm not a big fan of live music, but that's cool. That's what it is, Pat Benatar. Pretty neat. Then we have Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, also alive. This one has some water damage to it. Not a big fan of live, not a huge fan of Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, but that's cool. Here we have Santa Esmeralda, Don't Let Me Be Misunderstood. And I think, I was talking to my friend, I think there's only a few songs on here. Side 1 has Don't Let Me Be Misunderstood and Esmeralda Sweet. Track side 2 has Gloria, You're My Everything, and Black Pot. I think that this is sort of salsa, Latin covers of songs that were popular at the time. So really cool cover, though. Really like that. Here we have Jerry Lee Lewis, Breathless. Pretty cool. I don't know if this is a live record or not. Based on the picture, it looks like it. But there's a lot of songs on here, so they all must be pretty short, or it's a relatively cheap record. It won't sound very good, but in the plastic, it is open. The record, yeah, there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tracks on this side. So, no, all these songs can't be on there. Maybe it's supposed to be a double disc set. It says 2 records, but there's only around 1 record in here. That's all right. I don't really care about Jerry Lewis that much. Now we have, this one's really cool, The Good Feeling Music of the Big Chill Generation. So this is a record that was released later after, I think, the movie The Big Chill came out and sort of was a big sensation. This It features just like different things. There's Mary Wells, Stevie Wonder, Diana Ross, The Four Tops, Mamas and the Papas, The Temptations, Marvin Gaye, Smokey Robinson. So a lot of cool stuff on here. It says the highly acclaimed original motion picture soundtrack to The Big Chill and more songs from The Big Chill are available on Motown Records cassettes. So this is just them sort of like trying to cash in on that soundtrack, that movie becoming really popular. Here we have the soundtrack to the movie Platoon. Very cool. Looks really cool. I don't know that much about the movie. I've never seen it, but I know the songs are all just sort of like songs from, I think, the 70s. Very interesting. So there's Platoon. Huey Lewis in the News. Sports. Very cool. Don't know that much about him. Sure there's a few songs I would know. The Great American Rock and Roll Revival. It's a 2-record set, and I have that record, and I have this record. And actually, it feels like there's 2 records in here. So that was, oh, I see. So each one is only, are these? Oh, that's volume 5. And this must be volume 1. I'm guessing. Yeah, and there's only 1 record in here. So, okay. Well, that's all right. Still interesting. Again, these were all just in this. Okay, this is George Martin and his orchestra play Help and other instrumental versions of Beatles songs by their brilliant recording director. So this picture of the... Oh, no, those aren't the Beatles, I don't think. No, because I don't see John Lennon. I think those guys are just supposed to look like the Beatles. But anyway, it doesn't matter. George Martin, I believe that's George Martin. But this is just sort of instrumental versions of their song, some of their earlier hits, played by the guy who I think helped produce them. So, very neat. Trying to cash in on the Beatles. The big bands, sort of Glenn Miller, different sort of big band stuff. I have a ton of big band records because they're all over the place. Dan Fogelberg. This is kind of interesting. I don't know very much about Dan Fogelberg, but I think that his music is very sort of like soft acoustic guitar based, which I think might be kind of cool. Maybe a little yacht rocky. I'm not too sure. I don't know that much about him. This one comes with a nice book, which is very cool. It's got the lyrics in there. It's a trifold, and you can see over here, up here, it was owned by Penny, is what it says in the corner there. Both records are in here. I can feel them. So that's cool. Dan Fogelberg. Here we have Madonna, Like a Virgin. I think this is maybe just a 12-inch... Oh, no, this is the whole album. Material Girl, Angel, Like a Virgin, Over and Over, all that stuff. So there's Madonna, Like a Virgin. Very cool. Then we have Peter Frampton, I'm In You. Cool. Don't know much about Peter Frampton at all, but hey, there's that. Soundtrack to Saturday Night Fever. I already have this record as well, but it's nice, again, it's nice to have another copy. I know it's like Bee Gees have kind of made a bit of a comeback in terms of recent years. Their stuff's getting a little harder to find, so it might be kind of cool to have this. Have 2 copies of this at least. So there's Bee Gees with Saturday Night Fever. This is Original Hits, Original Stars, Super Gold Hits. This has... there's only 1 record in here again, which is a bit of a bummer, but it is what it is. So I don't know. Oh, this is side 1 and side 2, so there's only 1 record. That's the Way I Like It, Casey and the Sunshine Band, Love is a Drug, Roxy Music, Rocky by the Austin Brothers, Sarah Smile by Hall & Oates. That's a good song. But there's a lot of good stuff on here, I'm sure. So it'd be another fun one to listen to. But Super Gold Hits. Here is the Beatles Songbook Volume 2, the Holly Ridge Strings, basically playing Beatles songs on with the orchestra, I assume, like a small orchestra. So that's kind of cool. Here we have, this is why I mentioned earlier that I reacted to some Paul McCartney earlier this year. I did his song Temporary Secretary, which was absolutely insane to listen to. And then I happened to find this record in this Creative Records. So now I can listen to Temporary Secretary whenever I want to and at my leisure. So, yeah, it's pretty awesome. Pretty excited to find that one. Then we have Rare Earth, Grand Slam. Don't know anything about them. I guess it looks interesting. I'll have to listen to it and see. You know, a lot of these records, I probably would know one song that's on them. That's probably why people own them, but because for that one song. But okay, here's the last two records. This is Eagles Greatest Hits Volume 2. This also has water damage on it. So not a big deal, but Hotel California on here, which is my favorite Eagles song, and really the only Eagles song that I'm aware of that I know. But I know the Eagles are like huge band, highest selling album of all time. And then this, which I thought was really interesting. This is the band, I think the band is called Brilliant, and the album is called Colors. But look at this album cover. This is absolutely amazing. Very, very, very cool. I love it. It almost looks like the cover of like a metal album or something. But I think this is just a single, 12-inch single for just their song Colors. Even the back is just amazing. This to me would be worth $5 just by itself. I would have bought this. So that is just so cool. Yeah, it's just a single. We have Colors on this side and Colors Monster Mix on this side. I don't know what year this is from. 1983. So, very, very cool. I absolutely love this record. It is worth, like I said, this $5 is worth it just for this. Okay, so that is all the records. Now, while I'm here, I had these in there as well. I managed to find, these are much rarer than records. I managed to find this stack of reel-to-reel albums on reel-to-reel. So this is Bubbles in the Wine, a tribute to Lawrence Welk. On reel-to-reel. Very cool. Connie Francis, Secondhand Love, and Don't Break the Heart That Loves You. Very cool. This one didn't have the right case, but it was Strings and Percussion, Clebanon Strings. So I don't know much about that, but very cool. I actually found all of these, I believe, on Discogs. So they do have reel-to-reel tape on Discogs, in case you were wondering. Westward Ho, this is very cool. Roland Shaw and his orchestra. Very cool. This one, look at this. Mantovant and his orchestra, and The American Scene, the music of Stephen Foster, and the music of 19th century America. Okay, look at that. Now, look behind me up here. This album, you can't see it. Hold on, let me tilt up. This is The Songs of Stephen Foster by the Roger Wagner Chorale. Right? So the Songs of Stephen Foster, and this one is the songs of the music of Stephen Foster. So different thing. Very similar artwork, though. Love that. Totally different artists. Very cool. Tennessee Waltz and Other Country Favorites. This is a huge reel of tape in here. So I don't know how many songs are even on here. It looks like there's a bunch, but probably not very much. Maybe a lot of that tape's not even fully used. But that's very cool. And then this one is really neat. The guitar style of Al Kiola. This is probably the one I would be most interested in listening in. And I'm sure I can look this up on YouTube. Oh, well, would you look at that? Didn't even realize that. Just an empty reel. Well, the case is cool. So there's that. So there's those reel-to-reel tapes. Now I also bought at a different garage sale on a different day, I bought these 3 reel-to-reel tapes. Now, the really cool thing about these is these are tapes that were recorded just by someone with a microphone and a recording, a tape recorder that they took with them when they traveled. Now, I was talking to the guy, and he said that he doesn't know what's on these, but there's lots of notes in here. And he said that these reel-to-reel tapes came from an estate sale from someone who, when they were younger, they were husband and wife, and they traveled around the world, and they took their recording equipment with them, and they just recorded scenes and things where they went to different places. And I think it's absolutely amazing. I have no clue what's on these. For all I know, it might end up just being like stuff that they recorded off the radio, but I really hope that's not the case. It says something grade 5 through 8. The Trinity Lutheran School in Atkinson, Kansas. Musical Salute to America. So maybe they recorded like some of that stuff. Each of these tapes has different things on it. St. Mark's School Choir in January 1964. And then it says Jim, Mark. It says different people. Miss Hammond. Done on 1968 Christmas cassette tape is recorded on here. Now this one here says Alone cassette on 1968 cassette. Reverend R.M. Visser Farewell Sermon, Gilden Wedding Sermon for Mwellering on 1961. It's very interesting. I absolutely love stuff like this. Like I mentioned earlier, here, this one says Side 1, Korean Orphans Sing, Rodeo Kids Bible Clubs Singing, and it says at about the I don't know if it's the 2-minute mark, St. Mark's School Choir, director Margaret Hammond, God's Love Eternal, and then there's something sung by Jim that says the different people. Side 2 could be recorded over sometime if tape is needed. Visser Farewell Sermon and Gilden Wedding Sermon. So just really interesting. I don't know what's on any of these. I think it's absolutely fascinating. I know I probably said that multiple times, but it's really exciting to me to think that I might be able to pull audio from here that only exists on these reel-to-reel tapes. So very, very, very exciting. Very happy I found those. Now, one more thing while we're doing music stuff and while we're talking tapes, I bought a few cassette tapes. So here is ZZ Top's Greatest Hits. Kind of cool. Each of these was 50 cents. No Doubt's Tragic Kingdom. Electric Light Orchestra, their album Ole, I think Ole. Very cool. It's in a very different kind of a cassette thing. Which is very interesting. Alice Cooper, Greatest Hits. ELO. Another ELO. Oh, I didn't know they sang Evil Woman. That's very cool. And then, the pride of my cassette tape collection, or so I thought, Weezer. However, when I opened it up and I looked inside, this is not Weezer. This is Exile/Mixed Emotions. I was very hugely bummed to find out that Weezer cassette tape was not in here. So this cassette tape by itself is selling on eBay for like $40 to $75. So I don't know. Maybe I can sell the artwork in the box for $10, $15 or something. I don't know. Still really cool. Okay, now let's go through some books real quick, because I know probably most people aren't going to be super interested in the books. I'm going to zoom in a little. So I managed to find a bunch of science fiction books. Here's the first one. Of course, Frank Herbert's classic, Dune. This is just a different cover for Dune. I own several copies of this already. I've never read it. I enjoyed the movies, and I do plan on reading them someday. One thing I did think was interesting in here when I was setting up for this video, I saw that there's some interesting artwork for some posters in here that you can purchase. You can send this in and pick your poster. Only $3 for each of those. How cool is that? That's so neat. How big were they? Original 4-color posters. 18 by 24. So pretty big. Pretty awesome. There's Dune. Then I tried to buy books that are in sets. However, sometimes I get a little duped, and I find like I buy books that are in a set, and then it turns out that there are way more in the set than I was anticipating. So this is Assassin of Gore, Nomads of Gore, and Explorers of Gore. Which is neat, but, you know, I don't know anything about them. I don't know how many there are. I think there's a lot more than this. I think there's like a ton of books in the Gore series. Cover's a little interesting, a bit risque, which is very common for the time. But dude flying on birds. This has definitely got some futuristic, futuristic city vibes there. So, I don't know, interesting. There's some different Explorers of Gore. Here we have a giant book. This is Battlefield Earth by L. Ron Hubbard. So, very cool. Definitely something that's been read multiple times. This is enormous book. Enormous book. Each of these books, I bought all of these books together combined for $5. So, here's Isaac Asimov, The Foundation Trilogy. So this has the Foundation. Oh, they're all the Foundation. The Foundation and Empire, Second Foundation, and Foundation. So pretty cool looking covers. Come in their own little box here. Very neat. I don't know that much about Isaac Asimov, but I know he was a very influential sort of science fiction writer and thinker, I believe. So that's very cool. Then we have, in this box at least, we have some... Here's the Scions of Shannara. Some Shannara Chronicles. Let me zoom out a smidge. Terry Brooks. The Scions of Shannara. The Magic Kingdom of Landover. I think some of these are a different series. The Magic Kingdom of Landover, Volume 2. So this is Volume 1. It's 3 different books. Magic Kingdom for Sale, Sold, Black Unicorn, Wizard at Large, and The Tangle Box, and Witch's Brew. I've never read any Terry Brooks books, but now I've got a huge set of them that I can start with. Magic Kingdom for Sale, Sold. Wizard at Large. It's a little smaller. It's kind of cool. Running out of room. The Druid of Shannara. These are all in really good shape too, by the way. And then the Talisman of Shannara. So, really cool. Big set here of Terry Brooks books. Now, I saw all these books and I was like, oh man, this is awesome. This is probably a whole series. And I looked them up when I got them, and oh my goodness, no, Terry Brooks has like over 25, 30 books that are all connected to Shannara Chronicles. And I am the type of person that could read that many books. It would take me years and years and years, obviously. But I would have to start with book 1 and go through the series. So, I also have here, I bought 2. I've been collecting these books over time to eventually read through them. Two Wheel of Time books. This is book 7. And then I also have, these are also in great shape. These I bought separately at a different garage sale. These were, I think, $1 for both of them. Lord of Chaos. So that's 2 Wheel of Time books. And then these were kind of the books I was most excited about because I assumed that it was a set again. But again, it's like a set of 15 books. Okay, so this is book 5 of Malorian, The Seeress of Kel. Book 4 of Malorian, The Sorceress of Darshiva. Book 3, The Demon Lord of Karanda. Book 2, The King of the Murgos by David Eddings. Again, all of these. And then Book 1, The Guardians of the West. Now, this looked really interesting to me, and I believe I've heard of the Malorian series, but I don't know that much about it. And I'm pretty sure it says, I'll look in the last book here, that this is like one small series in a giant set of a bunch more of them. This is... Yeah, look, here we go. Other books. By David Eddings, published by Ballantine Books, or whatever. So we have the Belgariad, the Belgariad, the Malorian, the Elenium, and High Hunt. So I don't know if all of these are in the same set or not. I'm going to assume they are. It's Del Rey Books, which I bought a lot of good books from them over the years. A lot of really awesome science fiction fantasy books that I like. So I guess I have the whole Malorian series. I'll have to do a little bit of research. I think I was looking at it, added up on eBay or on Wiki, but... Okay, now probably something that I'll put timestamps everywhere, but now what a lot of people are probably waiting to see, some of the vintage video game stuff. So let me just get up and sort of reset everything, and I'll be right back with you. So at this first day that I was out, I bought this tub. This tub of video game stuff. Okay, so let us take a gander here. Let us take a look. Put this down here. Chipped my table. Okay, so this box off to the side you see here. Well, shoot, I just screwed that up. That box has a bunch of PlayStation stuff in it, but let's go ahead and look at this. So that green tub I just showed you a second ago, I bought for $10. So here is a old Nintendo NES Advantage. I have not plugged any of these in to see if they work. I would assume that they probably still do. Old Nintendo stuff is pretty durable. This is very heavy metal, very cool. I never had a Nintendo growing up. I had a Sega. I did have a Super Nintendo, one of the later ones. And then I had a Sega, and then I went from Sega right into PlayStation, and I've always had a PlayStation. Though I do not have a PS5 yet. Let's set some stuff down here. We have two of these. Just the joysticks. Yeah, I don't know. Not much to say about those. Very cool. There were some games in here, so I'm getting to those in a second here. I got... Well, look at you. Coaxial cable. Everybody cares about that. Here's the gun. For duck hunt. Very cool. Coaxial cables. I was joking about that. I have four really good condition, and I did not wrap these around these like this, I did to put them back in the box, but I would never wrap cables like this around my controllers. I know it's not good for them, but I have 4 of these old NES controllers. 2 of them are in really good shape, 2 of them are a little dirty, but I hope they all still work. Then I have, it's kind of annoying to show, but I will do it for the video. Here's an NES console with a bunch of stuff plugged into it. And there's actually 2 of these. There's a second one in here. Again, this whole box for $10. So... Oh, no game. And check that one, but the power cables are here for just one of them. So that's one thing, but still very cool. I'm going to be very careful with this. I never checked in here to see if there was a game. Don't go to all the trouble trying to find out if there's a game there. Only find out there's not. Can I grab all this up again? Do I want to do that? No. Do I do it? Yes, that's stupid. That's done. Come here. You. Oh. Okay, let's see if there's a game in here. There is. Oh, up here. Rad Racer. Which is pretty cool because I think I have some of their artwork down here, which I'll show you in a second. But hey, there's that.
Now, I gotta try to wrap this up again the way that it was, which I was not a fan of in the first place. Try to treat everything as respectfully as possible. But you know, it just... there we go.
Okay, everything's in there. Okay, so now we can talk about some exciting stuff. Here we have a Game Boy with bases loaded in it. And I put some batteries in it and turned it on, and it did turn on, but the screen did not turn on. So, don't know anything about that. We have two other games for that console. We have Tetris. Tetris and Dr. Mario, which I think is sort of one of the more sought-after Game Boy games. Then we have a bunch of... We have Super Mario Brothers 2, Kings of the Beach, beach volleyball, Bandai Namco Golf, Super Mario Brothers 1 and Duck Hunt, Super Mario Brothers just by itself. It's pretty cool. Neat. And then we have Top Gun, the second mission. So that's nice. And then we have in the case, and the game's actually in here with the booklet, the Bugs Bunny Crazy Castle. Pretty cool. Tiny Toon Adventures. This really speaks to when I was little. I love Tiny Toons. Never played this on Sega, if it was ever released for that. Here's Super Off-Road, 4-player simultaneous action. Very cool. Pac-Man by Tengen. Pac-Man. In the box, again, with the booklet in there, so that's pretty cool. And then we have Wheel of Fortune. So pretty awesome. Now, we'll say we also have, though I know this stuff doesn't really matter, but here's the Bandai Namco Golf booklet. Here's Rad Racer, the game that was in the console. Nintendo Duck Hunt Mario. Super Mario Brothers. Here's the booklet for the NES Advantage. Here's the booklet for the Zapper. And here's the booklet for the Control Deck, the Nintendo Entertainment System. So, all right, let me get this all put back in the box, and I'll be right back with you in a second. I forgot to do my snap again, huh? Okay, so that's everything Nintendo. I do want to show you one more thing that I bought at the garage sales. So this is one of my favorite movies of all time from the 90s. This is Kevin Costner's Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. Now, I saw this in a box that was full of this. What this is, if you're unaware, this is a Laserdisc movie. So let's switch up here to the cam. So this is a Laserdisc movie. So it's the exact same size as a record, which I don't have a record sitting right here. I would show you. Exact same size as a record. However, when you pull it out, if you've never seen a Laserdisc, it's basically a giant CD. Oh, hey, there's my camera. You can see reflected. Basically a giant CD. And this guy at this garage sale had a huge, actually 2 boxes full of Laserdisc movies, and he just wanted $5 for each one. And I thought, wow, that's a great deal. I rarely do I ever see any movie on Laserdisc ever. Let alone all these movies. He had the Jurassic Park movies. He had a whole bunch of them. And so I came home and I looked it up on eBay, and I found out that this movie itself is worth about like $7 maybe. But the thing that shocked me was, if you are a fan of movies, if you hang records on your wall and you're a fan of movies, you can buy Laserdisc copies of almost any movie from the 90s and some classic movies as well that they made later. You can buy Laserdisc copies of movie on Laserdisc, put the artwork on your wall, and you can get a copy of it for less than $10 for almost any movie, which was something that absolutely shocked me. I couldn't believe it, and so I did some looking, and I am absolutely going to buy 3 of my other favorite movies from the 90s. A Secret Garden from 1993, which is one of my favorite movies of all time, and then The Gods Must Be Crazy 1 and The Gods Must Be Crazy Volume 2. I'm absolutely going to get those and cherish them forever, and I'll be able to spend less than $20 for all 3 of them, so that's awesome. Now we go over here to, oh looky, it's a PS1. Now I did have a PS1. I sold it to my cousin when I was young, and it's one of the things I regret the most. This is a very small one. Very cool, though. Now the cables are in here too, but I'm not going to take those out. And there's also a controller that it goes with the console, so it's the same material and everything. So that's really cool. And this is the last thing I'm going to show in this video. I've been already talking for over an hour. But then I purchased this big box over here. And so the most exciting things in here are... I actually bought this PlayStation from the same guy that I purchased the Laserdisc from. And he had so much cool stuff at his garage sale. I could have bought a bunch more. But I didn't have the money, and I didn't want to waste a bunch of money. But, so here's some PlayStation 1 games that I got. The game is in there, and they all look pretty good. This is F1 Championship Season 2000. Destruction Derby. Need for Speed 3, Virtual Pool, Roadsters, FIFA 2000, FIFA 2001, and Monaco Grand Prix. The person was a race fan and a soccer fan. And an unopened copy of Dino Crisis, the version that has Resident Evil 3 Nemesis demo disc in it. So this, I believe, is actually worth quite a bit of money. So I was really excited about this when I found this. But these are all pretty neat. Happy that I found those. PS1 games are really cool because if you were unaware, you can put a lot of them in your CD player and hear the music from the levels. So then, what's in the box, you say? Well, when I bought it, the guy told me that PlayStation 1 was modded to work with any region game. And so this entire box is filled. This entire box is filled with games. Well, not that one either. Those empty cases. Is filled. Here's Colony Wars, Disc 1 of 2, Tenchu 2, Colony Wars, Disc 1, Bushido Blade 2, Parasite Eve, Bugs Bunny, Driver. They're all burned games. And this whole box is filled, absolutely filled, including a couple. This is interesting. A couple, check this out. A couple of them that are just straight up, the artwork is printed. The front and the back. So I don't know if someone was doing this for their own personal collection or they were trying to maybe sell them. The dude seemed really cool. He definitely knew what he was doing. Here's Rugrats, another burned copy. Here's A Bug's Life, which I actually had this game on PlayStation and beat it. I was very proud the day I did. But these are just burned. Like the artwork is just printed off of a printer. The next Tetris, same thing. And another Rugrats game. So that's cool. And then, just to show you what we're dealing with number-wise here, here is a spindle full of basically every PS1 game. Okay? This spindle is just full of game after game after game after game after game. Here's the World 007, The World Is Not Enough. Madden NFL 2000 on here. PSX Simpsons Wrestling. Simpsons Wrestling. So I have that spindle. And I also have this spindle. And this is also filled. Yep, PSX Danger Girl. This one is also just completely filled with games. So I don't know, this can't have been, I don't know. It definitely wasn't legal, I don't think. But I've got, this whole box is full of games and cases. I'm not even going to bother to take them out. But I just absolutely, what a crazy 3 days of garage sailing. Am I right? All those records, amazing. All this vintage video game stuff, retro video game stuff, awesome. The cassette tapes, the reel-to-reel tapes, probably the rarest thing that I have here. Absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. So this has been a long video already. It's going to be hard for me to edit the cameras and everything, but I don't regret doing it. I think it's going to be cool. Hopefully some people watch it. Check out other stuff on my channel. I do have other videos sort of like this where I go through when I purchase big purchases at one time. Check them out. All the Metallica reaction videos I have, the different things on here I mentioned at the beginning of the video, whatever you want to do. If not, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video, hopefully. Again, thank you very much.